and they are doing these things in 2016. Like, I don't understand. Like, is this just some sort of like subtle, like, screw you to these people now they've gotten gay marriage?
I don't know. I mean, North Carolina is such an issue that it's just like, this feels like Texas all over again. It's like, really? You're like northern South. You would think that they'd be maybe a tiny bit more liberal, considering
They voted Obama in 2008.
Exactly. And also considering half the people from this area moved to North Carolina. Like, you will, if it's like almost law that one person in this area that moves right to North Carolina. All of you, I love all my friends who did move there, though. You're cool.
The problem is with North Carolina, though, it's like any other part of this country where you have like big cities. And you have like little like rinky-dink towns surrounding the big cities, and you just have like the wilderness. And in those little rinky-dink towns where like progressive ideas are like they're non-existent, you're gonna have this like opposition. The problem is with places like the South especially, there are a lot more of these little rinky-dink towns. It's not like the North and like the West Coast where you pretty much have like a megalopolis where you are within 2 hours of a major city. At any given point. Here, like whether like no matter where you are in New York State, you're near like Buffalo or Rochester, Syracuse, Utica, Albany, New York City, Ithaca, Corning, like Binghamton. Like you have all these cities like that are sort of like bastions. Like they have big colleges, like hubs of public learning, so on and so forth. But in the South, you have like one or two major cities, and then it's just surrounded by miles of just like Scooter and Moron out in the shed. And,
and my grandpappy just shot that thing in the back. We call it a raccoon. You might call it a possum. Those kind of backwoods, probably.
Like the problem is though, like these people, they elect their representatives, and they get in, they all congregate, and even if there's like like a left wing or like a centrist like representative from like a big city, they're overrun by these like like hillbilly hares that are just like we want the gays to be executed.
And they also probably vote for Donald. Actually, no, because Donald Trump doesn't care about gay people. He's like, okay, cool. I mean, you exist. I don't want you like dead, but you kind of are an inconvenience.
Hatred is directed at other avenues.
Exactly.
By the way, if you want to call and argue with us about things, feel free to call us. 716-878-5104 is the number here. We can put you on air if you promise to behave.
No cursing.
No cursing, please. We will take you off air at that point. But if you want to call us again, 716-878-5104. Join in the discussion. Let us know what you think about these anti-gay laws or Donald Trump or whatever we're talking about. Feel free to jump in.
On that note, let's change it up because we talked a good amount about that. I think I want to talk about this on the air because I talked about this briefly for an idea. So it's LGBTQ, which is great. Honestly, I like that we have such wide variety, but I really think that we should just have like one single name and then leave the gender stuff to a different thing because I am also gender fluid. Mm-hmm. So the LGBT part, the T of it, transgender is a gender thing. It's not a sexuality thing. So you have gay, lesbian, bisexual, and then you don't even include the other offshoots like pansexual. Mm. And this is a thing that rustles my jimmies very much.
I mean, I think like I definitely agree with you, but I think like how can I phrase it? Like I don't want to sound like I'm discounting what you're saying because I'm not. Like I agree with you, but I think that because you look at like current rights issues, mm-hmm. Like gay rights, they're still forefront, but they're like the war's kind of being won in that end. Gay marriage is legal. The next big like rights thing, at least in like the umbrella thing of like gender and identity and stuff like that, is transgender issues.
Oh yeah, that's a huge thing.
I think the thing is like because transgender issues are like a more like new like like I mean it's gaining acceptance in circles, but it's still comparatively like less accepted than say like a gay person,
Oh
or like
yeah,
a bisexual lesbian.
Oh yeah, very much so because
so I think it's still lumped together somewhat unfairly as being
because
in the same thing.
People used to think, well, you're transsexual and transgender are two different
completely different
things. And I think that's because things were set up in such a manner back in the day where, people like now are like, I'm kind of not jumping to a different topic, but when you talk about like Rocky Horror, some people are like, oh my god, they said transvestite, it's so insulting to trans people. At that time it was revolutionary. It was a thing that was kind of like inclusive, like, oh, okay, so there are people like this, but they aren't making it a joke. Because if we talk about Frankenfurter was serious. Frankenfurter was, it was, it was that kind of thing. So like we've evolved so much.
I see Rocky Horror as sort of like both a joke yet not, because it was definitely campy.
Oh yeah,
it was campy and it was hilarious for all the right reasons. But it was also kind of like, these are things that happen. Like,
and it was one of those things that kind of like almost like a David Bowie effect, where it's like the people who at that time were growing up were like, oh, okay, yes. And
because look at when it came out too. It came out in the 70s.
Oh god.
And it was like look, it touches on all the things that were kind of like becoming new and exciting. Well,
like the whole
transgender, sexual liberation.
Yeah.
Yeah, liberation.
Liberalization.
It's same thing, I guess.
Yeah, basically.
But like you look at the whole idea of Janet kind of like thinking about maybe cheating on Brad.
Yeah.
With Rocky, like these were things that were kind of like seen as like impure, and basically like the plot of Rocky Horror takes these things and like flips them on their head because it's like, haha, these are these things that we're going to trivialize them.
Yep.
And in that way, like it became sort of like a cult icon because like it just sort of takes these like taboo subjects of like sweet transvestites and like gender fluidity and like infidelity and open relationships, and just sort of made them like
a norm, almost.
Not necessarily a norm, I don't think, but it just sort of like made them almost comical.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. It almost felt like almost accepted too, because when you're in that genre, like the whole Brad and like not Brad, Rocky and Frankenfurter thing, like it's just like, okay, well, it's like Frankenfurter obviously has a thing for Rocky. He built him basically for his own doll of pleasure, and then it's like, oh well, I'm gonna go and sleep with Janet and then everybody else and stuff like that. So it's just like, oh, okay, well, that's new. And hello media, how do you like this?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's.
But I mean, like with the whole like distinguishing with the LGBT.
Yeah.
Like I definitely agree with you. I think that it's sort of like a placeholder right now, just in like pure semantics.
Until things probably get a little bit more organized and settled, and people are more not aware, but you know what I'm talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like because it is such a new like issue in psychology and like sexuality and gender studies, insert discipline, here. It's one of those things where people do kind of conflate it with sexuality.
Exactly. And that's another big issue as far as I guess along the trans-ish community is, well, when a person's trans, it's like, oh, so we knew you as X gender and you liked girls. Does this now mean you're a lesbian? Or, stuff like that. And honestly, I think that's such a personal question, because it's just like, I still like what I like, even though my gender is what it wasn't before. It doesn't mean that, oh, well,
you're attracted to anything different.
Exactly. It doesn't mean you're gay. And I think that's one of the big things that people have an issue with when it comes to trans stuff, because they don't understand it.
But I think it's like the same. I think it's like the same thing with like, just as people become more aware of what flies and like in relating to a transgender person. Like you look back at like the phrase "fair for its day."
Yeah.
you look back at the movies in the 80s when the word faggot or fag was acceptable to be used on like a gay person. And it was definitely like a pejorative insult, but it wasn't seen as like, oh wow, like back then it was never censored.
Yeah.
Now in most cases it's censored if it's used like in a pejorative sense.
Yeah,
in
if it's
case.
used in a derogatory
type.
Yeah.
And like now as time has gone on, people have learned like, okay, don't use that word. Don't assume that, a gay person wants to, like, just because you're a guy and a gay guy, is around you, that he wants you, like I remember back when I was in high school in like the mid 2000s, people like this one person was like really creeped out by me, because it came out that I was identifying as bi at the time.
Yeah.
And at one point I walked up to him because like he was my friend up until like he found out.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's your problem? He's like you're gonna do stuff to me. I'm like, don't flatter yourself, dude. Like, you're not like is your ego that huge that you think that I want anything to do with you? Like, because he was kind of gross.
Yeah.
But it was just like one of those things where it's like, trust me, like just be like making like being gay, being bi, being a lesbian, being whatever thing that is not heteronormative
doesn't mean you want to sleep with that thing.
It doesn't mean that you're a sex fiend.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
Like, you don't become Blanche Devereaux because you're gay. Like, it doesn't work like that.
No, and even if you are like Blanche, it doesn't mean you want to sleep with absolutely everything. It's you just have a higher drive.
See, I call bisexuality, like, I used to say it was like a Miley Cyrus song, the best of both worlds.
And then there's pansexual. It's like best of all worlds. Mm-hmm. And that's another issue, too. People are like, well, what's the difference between bi and pan? You're the same thing, right? And it's like, no, not really. I mean, it depends on person to person. If you want to identify as bi, sure, go do it. If you want to identify as pan, go do it. Do what's comfortable, but you feel like telling another person. I know from experience of being a person who's pansexual, which basically means I like boys, girls, all in between. It really doesn't matter. I'm more of a personality person, and how they identify doesn't bug me. And that can be the same thing for bisexual. Bisexual isn't just black and white boys and girls, because I know bi people who have dated gender fluid people and trans people and stuff like that. But it's more so, I think, at this point, how the person feels and identifies.
Yeah.
It's what they're more comfortable saying. Oh, I'm pan, or hey, I'm bi. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
I just thought of it like a quote from SNL. Do you remember? I think it was Dana Carvey.
Yeah.
Did the character called the Church Lady?
Yes.
He's talking to a caricature of Pink, and just said. So basically, you're bisexual. So you reach down in the pants, don't care what you find. Like,
yeah.
like I thought about that. I'm just like. I was just like, I had to say it. It was in my head, and now it's on the air.
Yeah, there we go, and it's being recorded, so that's one for the archives.
It's radio safe.
Yes, it is. Very much so. But yeah, and that's the thing where it's just like, I mean, I don't like think that you're bad if you're one or bad if you're the other.
It's like, and related to the quote that I just said, like to keep it like actually like have context to it, like because I used to identify as being pan, and
1 second, go on your tangent.
Okay. What I was gonna say was being related to being pan, because I used to identify as pan before I realized I like guys, like. Really, it's like I lost my train of thought because Alyssa is running to and fro, and I don't know what's going on.
One of our guests is here, so.
Oh, well, why don't we take a short break then, and we can have the guest come in, and we can get them situated.
Yes, and we can probably get back on that topic at another point.
Oh yeah. We can maybe actually have the guest in for the round table, and then.
Yeah.
And then get to their actual interview later on if they were
so
inclined.
Now, in case you didn't know, you're listening to 91.3 FM, WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative since 1982. This is Chris and Red, and we're going to be bringing you more good content. Listen to the wonderful tunes of the electro swingy variety. So keep it listening and locked.